So in this video, we're going to talk about failing. Now, the title of the video is How to Not Fail. And just so you know that I'm not crazy, yes, you're going to fail in life. And that's a certainty that you will try to accomplish some objective or some goal, and then you're not going to quite get there. But what I want you to understand is that failure is not so much a action, it's more of a mentality. And I'm going to just kind of give you a story that I participated in so you can kind of understand and maybe I can explain it a little bit better. So I was working at a facility as a general manager, and there was an outage that was programmed, and we were going to take everything offline, and we had to do a series of tasks during a very strict, predetermined period of time, right? So my guys had planned all the way up to it, and we were getting ready to do the outage at this point, right? So in the middle of the outage, and at that point I was off again. I wasn't in the details of the outage, but during the outage there was a problem, and someone else had called in and started talking to the guy, somebody in a position of authority, and he started asking him, what went wrong? Who didn't do their job? How could this have happened? This is in the middle of an outage, and you just getting on the guys on what went wrong. And so eventually I get a phone call going, hey, we've got an issue here, Perry, and what do you think? And I said, okay, well, what do we need to do to finish what we need to do within this time frame? And so we talked about, we need to move these people around, we need to do this over here, and this other problem needs to be solved by these other people. And so we talked about what it is that we need to do to be able to accomplish what we set out to do. And that was the tenure and the conversation that I had with my people. And I also shut the other person out because I wasn't too interested in who did what wrong at that moment. What I wanted to know is, what did we need to do to be successful? So what did we need to do to be able to accomplish our goal? Because that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in being successful. I'm not so much interested in trying to find somebody to blame. That if need be, there'll be plenty of time later. So that's a small difference, right? Of looking at the problem. Because I did find out about the problem. We did talk about solving the problem. We talked about how it impacted. But the way the conversation was not a defensive conversation. Although they were defensive when they called because they just got their butt kicked. But when they talked to me, I wasn't so much interested in that, and they noticed that. I said, well, hey boss, if we did this and we put these people here and we moved these people there, we could do it. By the time it was over, we did 98.2% of all the tasks that needed to be done. Nothing critical was left aside. So the few tasks that they weren't able to accomplish could be done at a later date with no impact. So it was a moderately successful outage at the end of the day. And then we sat down and we did a root cause analysis. And during the RCA, it was important to help them understand the focus. And the focus is, what could we do better? How can we become better today than we were yesterday so that this becomes a better thing? And one thing that you have to understand as an individual, and this applies in your personal life as it does in business, there's one commonality in every single failure in your life. One. And you look at it in the mirror every single day, right? So you have to understand that. You really have to understand that. I am the cause of every failure that happened in my life. There may be other influences, but I'm the cause, I'm the source. Because there's always something I could have done better, right? And then the question becomes, what can I do better? So let's not worry about blaming, because it's your fault. So we've established that now. Now can you let that go? Now let's talk about how do we do it better. I'll give you another story. I'm on a project now, and a certain person I admire very much, and they were talking to me about just a portion of this project, and they're like, man, I really need to do better at this. I need to assign these things better, just the way that they're going about working. And I need to make this communication better, and they were looking like I'm looking right now. They sound almost pained as they were telling me this, and so that person works for me. So I just looked at him and I said, so what you're telling me is today you're better than you were yesterday. And she goes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said, great. Well, let me know anything else that you find that we could do better. See, it's a small thing, but it's very important if you want a team that keeps on succeeding. It's not just about grabbing the stick. Because what happens when you use coercion and you just beat on people is they get scared, they won't talk. They're going to try to find a reason to blame someone else, which will distract you from the actual cause of the failure. And they're not going to really look to solve it. They're going to look to protect themselves. I don't want to be blamed for this. But if you can establish a culture of accountability, as in, look, whatever failure it is that happens is our team's fault. And as a leader, it's ultimately my fault. So let's get that out of the way to start with. And then start focusing on what can we do better next time. That's how you create that inertia. You get that momentum. You get people communicating, going, I really think if we did this thing this way, we would be better off. If we did this thing a different way, we would be better off. Now that beats the hell out of going, it's his fault, it's not my fault, it's that other guy's fault. Oh, if he only would have done his job. Right? If he would have only done his job, think about that. How does that help you? You really need to focus on what can I do to be better. And every individual in the team needs to have that accountability, that everything is, they're the cause of it. And they need to look at a way to be able to get it better. Now, when I say they're the cause of it, I don't mean just simply to assign blame, but just kind of trying to get over that. Because that's a really big barrier, is who's at fault, who's at blame for whatever it is that failed. And failures come in different sizes. So the bigger the failure, the more they're worried about who's at fault, right? The smaller the failure, the easier it is to overcome that mentality to actually start getting into the sequence of events of what happened. When you get your team and you free them from the blame game, that allows them to grow on the path of how to become successful. And see, that's the difference between failing and not failing. See, to me, a failure is when you have an issue that has come up that caused you not to reach whatever objective you have, or issues, one, multiple, whatever, and whether this be in business or in your personal life, I don't care, it's the same thing. And then you just focus on the failure. Whose fault was it? Who do I blame? What went wrong? And you've got that focus on that. And see, you're focusing on failure while trying to achieve success. It's an oxymoron. If you focus on failure, you're going to achieve failure. So what you need to do is just understand what happened, but then focus on success. Focus on how can we do it better. That makes a huge difference in your team. And that's how you know how you don't fail. Because see, every time that you have these bumps, you're going to learn something new and everyone's going to become better. And then these bumps are going to happen less and less often. And then now you're going to have momentum. So not only are you not failing because you're not focusing on the failure, but you're focusing on growth, on how to become better, each individual member of your team, or you in your personal life. But then you're now creating this momentum. Right, where even if there is a little bump in the road, we're just going to roll right over it because we've developed ourselves to such a degree that bumps don't bother us. They're just not in the way, right? Because now we got momentum. So you don't just stop failing, but you also create momentum. And again, this applies for your business, this applies for your team, applies for your family, applies for your personal life. There's no difference. If you spend your entire day beating yourself up for everything you've done wrong, all you're going to do is get yourself depressed, unmotivated, and nothing's really going to change. And if it does, it's not going to be positive because you're just going to focus on those failures. But if you look at what you've done and say, well, what can I do to become better? What can I do to overcome this? How do I overcome it? What steps should I take? It's a different mindset. You don't have that failure mentality. You have the success mentality, and hence, you stop failing.